This is the third video in the replay of Guadalajara from the Standard Combat series, and we are now picking up with turn 5, which represents March 12th of 1937. This first picture is showing the gray units, which are Spanish nationalists, trying to engage with a communist unit supporting the Republicans near Casa da San Galinda. I did call in an artillery barrage, but it was no effect. And the attack was basically repulsed, and so the nationalist forces retreated, as you can see in this second picture. You'll also notice the Republican trucks that are there. These are units that can pick up and carry an infantry unit, and they get 14 motorized movement points instead of the usual 6 or 7 leg points. This next picture takes us to the south of the map, the lower portion near Brihuega, and this is heavily defended. As you can see, it's going to be tough to break through, but I was able as a nationalist to use some artillery, and I did manage to disorganize that first unit that's kind of blocking the track there in a lookout location. I'm not really in any position to actually make an attack there, I don't think. I was just trying to keep them from being able to do too much, while exercising the artillery's strength. This next picture shows a barrage in the woods near Masagoso da Tahuna, and you can see that force is disorganized from that attack, which then allows the nationalists to eliminate the unit in the attack. And what you see there is the Lupo Battalion from the 5th Regiment is actually who made that attack and took that unit out. This last picture here shows the Republican part of the turn, and they get a bunch of air units this time. And I decided not to use them for combat, but you can see they're used for interdiction. So they're going to charge movement penalties in the hex they're in, plus the 6 surrounding hexes. So yeah, this is really painful. You'll see a lot of air units here, and the types depicted, you see some SB2s, some I-15s and I-16s deployed here, and they're not going to be used in attack for column shifts. They're just going to slow the movement down. So hopefully that was a good use of these units. But that brings turn 5, March 12th, 1937, to an end. So we go on to turn 6. This is March 13th, 1937. And in the opening scene here, this is down near Brihuega, and you've got the nationalists coming in from the right side of this picture along the track, as well as the secondary road. And I have a bunch of artillery in there. You can see some powerful CTV artillery groups there that are all deployed, and they're in range. The middle number is their range, so 2 of those units you see have a range of 5 hexes as long as the units are spotted. The other one, the 11 strength unit, has a range of 3, and they are whacking against that lead unit that is blocking that track. You see the T-26s there, and underneath it is the German Talman Battalion, and it's in a lookout point on the east hills of Brihuega. Those T-26s are formidable if they get involved in an attack, although disorganized like this. If they're attacked, their modifier will be less. It'll be a there'll be 1 less. So as a defender, instead of having a -2 die roll modifier, it would be only a -1. So that was actually effective. Of course, in this case, the attack involved tanks on both sides. So the nationalists have that the CRS unit, the 2nd Company there, has these Fiat tanks that we talked about in an earlier video. They are combating with these T-26s, and They end up becoming disabled as a result of this combat. The infantry combat, though, goes very well for the Nationalists, and the Talman battalion ends up suffering a step loss there. And you can see that depicted in the second picture. Yeah, the tanks and the armored cars for the Nationalists had to go to the disabled box, though. But this is still progress. This next picture is showing an attack that the Italian nationalists are making against an artillery group that I have there. It kind of got singled off and exposed. It's on that secondary road in the woods. So it is attacked by infantry, and as shown in this next picture, it is overwhelmed and eliminated. This next picture is showing an attack against a communist battalion that is holding the village of Casa da San Galinda. And this is a fairly even attack, and it ended up being no effect. I mean, there's a lot of bullets, but no really results for either side in this attack. During the Republican turn, I took a picture just of the overview. They're mainly setting up defenses here and not doing a whole lot of counterattacking. I'm just trying to take advantage of key positions, and when I can, I'm using the terrain. I got a bunch of air support again, but I decided to save it to use for ground support. And so I'm going to use some of these air units to shift the columns on some of the attacks that are coming up, I'm expecting. So, but you'll see in the center there, along that primary road, the Italians have a long line of units. Some of them are in trucks being hauled along that road to get them toward the front. I've pretty much stalled with the Spanish nationalists on the top part of the picture, the north part of that river, and you can see things are moving very slowly in the south at Brihuega. But that brings turn 6, which is March 13th, I believe, 1937, to a close. So we go on to turn 7. This is March 14th and 15th of 1937. So what's happening? Things are starting to slow down. Supplies and movement, the supply chain is not as sharp as it was in the beginning. So a turn is now representing twice as much time, showing that things are slowing it down a little bit. So the nationalists are redoubling their efforts on attack. This first picture is showing Brihuega and the area that had been attacked before. And I had the 9th Regiment there launch an attack against those lead units with the T-26s in that lookout spot to the east of Brihuega. And underneath the T-26s, there's a German battalion that is there. And these tanks have the defensive benefit. You'll notice that the Italians don't have any tanks. So those T-26s are going to provide a -2 die roll modifier to the combat, which is significant on the 2 to 12 bell curve type table. So the nationalists end up getting repulsed here, and you can see in this next picture that they were forced to retreat. So the Republicans are doing very well defending in this area. You can see this is going to be formidable. Yeah, I got some artillery that blasted away some Republicans on the other side of the river, but no one can really do much to them. It's just something to use the artillery on. This next picture is showing the Italian Littorio Division. That is the unit with the blue stripe. And this is one of their better units, and it's attacking a Polish battalion in the plains east of Valderianus. I don't know if I pronounced that right. I'm sure I didn't. I did barrage the area, no effect. However, the Republicans actually have some air support. You can see in this next picture, I flew in some SB-2s, and I also have a company of T-26s there in the defense. So as you might expect, the Littorio division was repulsed. It suffered some losses and it had to retreat. You'll notice that my motorcycle unit there is on its reduced side now. Continuing with the offensive action, I have the Sotelo, I don't know if I'm saying that right, Sotelo regiment is attacking the 33rd regiment, or an element from it, near Casas de San Galeno. And you'll see I brought some air support in again. You got another squadron of SB2s coming in, I think, and this attack ends up having no effect. So things are really slowing down now. Then going to the Republican part of the turn, they have some reinforcements and replacements. The Republican artillery fired but had no effect, so it was worth a shot. But one of the reinforcements is this armored train came in along with a railroad unit. And so they can travel along the railroad. And so they've moved all the way up here near Espinosa de Henares. The Republicans also got a few airplanes available to strafe with, so I chose no counterattacks this time, but I did decide to solidify the defenses. So you have a little overview picture here of that primary road going through and where the fighting is happening along that road and along the river, on both sides of the river there. And it looks like, maybe I accidentally got a couple of the Italian units on the wrong side of the river. I don't think they're supposed to be there, so I'll have to rectify that at a later point. Anyway, that brings turn 7, March 14th and 15th of 1937 to a close. Please stay tuned if you'd like to see how this game continues to play out. Have a great day.